Welcome back to Andersen Acres. We are out here today with our females, couple up there, including Deli, and of course, a few hanging out by the food bowls. Couple in there. Andersen's down in the hole. It's there's bunnies in here. These are our females, and I was asked a few days ago, when should you rebreed your doe? So assume she already had babies, like Deli there. Deli had babies a couple times this year already. When do you rebreed your doe after she's had babies? So there are a few things to consider here. The first thing you want to consider when it comes to when are you going to rebreed your ladies is, do you have the space? So where are you going to put mama for her to have her babies? Where are you going to put the babies? Remember, when they grow out, you're going to need a grow out pen. When they get a little bit older, you're going to need to be able to separate the boys from the girls. Do you have the space to do that right now? Or do you have to wait until you downsize or sell off some of your existing babies? Possibly, you will have to rearrange your rabbits. So can you make the space? You also need to have a plan for the babies you're going to have. Remember, rabbits kindle about roughly 30 to 32 days after they've been bred. So you only have about a month. So because you only have about a month, you do need to know what you're going to do with those babies. Where are you going to put them? Are you going to sell them? Are you going to keep them? What is their purpose? So make sure you have all of that worked out. Once you know all of that, you need to think about your rabbits. Now, in nature, in normal nature, a rabbit, after she kindles, will end up pregnant within about a week. I just got bit by a mosquito. That sucked. But they'll be rebred in about a week after they have babies. So they're going to have babies that are 4 to 5 weeks old when they have another litter. Now, that's crazy, and we're not raising rabbits in nature, and you should not do that. I know some people do. You should not do that. Absolutely not. So you don't breed your girl right after she had babies. But you can breed them soon after. Now, rebreeding really, really soon is not necessarily healthiest for your rabbit if it's done long term. There's Andersen just came out of the hole. If it's done long term. So you wouldn't want to rebreed a female every time she's got 2-week-old babies and do that endlessly, because it's not healthy for the rabbit. And remember, we do have to consider the health of the rabbits. In addition to your own needs, the rabbits' needs matter too. So you also want to remember that at 4 weeks old, babies are not fully weaned. They need 6 to 8 weeks to be fully weaned. 6 weeks is when I like to pull them away from mama, but you might do 8 weeks. I like to do 6 weeks, give them a couple weeks to make sure they are healthy and ready to exist without mama, and then I send them on their way to their new homes, if I'm sending them to their new homes. So remember that at 4 weeks, they're not weaned. So if you breed mama the second she has her babies, the babies that she's got are not going to be weaned yet, and she can't look after 2 litters. That's not fair, especially if those litters are rather large. So our Rexes tend to have a larger litter than our Lops just because of the size of the rabbit. And it's not really very fair if she has to look after, 10 babies from litter 1 and 8 babies from litter 2. That's not fair. So don't do that. So do not breed her so that she'll have to look after 2 litters simultaneously. That's not fair. So the real answer to when am I going to rebreed my rabbit really depends on your goals and your purpose. So if you're raising meat rabbits, you're probably going to be breeding more often than someone who raises show rabbits, for example. But you still have to consider the health of the rabbit, your own needs, and what you're going to do with the babies. So what do I do? Good question. I don't let my does have more than 2 or 3 litters a year. So I do it in a calendar year. So from January through December, they will not have more than 3 litters in that year, each rabbit. Usually I do 2, but sometimes 3. Like Deli's going to have her 3rd litter this year. And then after that, Gemini's having her 3rd. I think Libra, I'm going to let Libra right there, is going to have her 3rd litter. and then they're done for the year. Now, how you kind of time those litters depends on a lot of different factors. What works for you, what your weather is like. So if you have outdoor rabbits, you are probably not going to want to breed your rabbits in January because it's too cold. So there's a lot of things to consider, a lot of things you want to think about so that you absolutely know what's best for your rabbits. So depending on the time of year, so I do 2 to 3 litters per year per rabbit max. So it depends on the time of year. If you have exclusively outdoor rabbits, you're probably not going to want to breed in January. That's just probably not going to work out for you. So outdoor rabbits, if you want to do those 3 breedings relatively close together, you can pull that off. Hi, Silverado, you're kind of crazy. But you can pull that off. So it is possible to breed your mama when her existing babies are 2 to 4 weeks old. Okay? So you can breed her when the babies are 2 weeks old, and then right around the time she kindles, she is going to end up pregnant again. And then she will go and be apart from her babies during her pregnancy. That works quite well. You can do that, but you can't do that endlessly. It's not good for mama to constantly do that. So if you are going to do that, you're probably going to do it 2 or 3 times in a row in the summer, and then let mama have a break for the rest of the year, for the winter months. You might want to spread it out through the year. So with my indoor rabbits, I spread it out through the year because there's no point in not spreading it out through the year. They have their babies indoors. I don't have to worry about the weather. So with, for example, Libra won't have her next litter. I'm not rebreeding her till the end of September, which means she's looking at Halloween babies. And she just, about a month ago, I guess now, weaned her other litter. So they're having it more spread out. Deli there is going to have them more back to back. Okay, she's molting right now if you're wondering why she's looking so rangy. It's her turn to molt. But Deli has them more back to back, but she only has 2 or 3 litters in the summer, and then she gets the winter to rest. So you can either stack it back to back or spread it out. It depends on how you accommodate your rabbits. It depends on whether you're indoors or outdoors. It depends on the health of the rabbit. So sometimes you'll be like, yeah, this rabbit needs a break. Give the rabbit a break if it needs one. Okay, so if it had difficulty, if they look kind of down, if they look, just off when they're having their babies or when they have their little ones, then you definitely want to make sure you're giving them a break because just like humans, mama wants a break. Okay? So one of the problems with back-to-back breeding where you don't give them a break is it does shorten the life expectancy of the doe. Now, rabbits are meant to have babies. It's what they're built for. Okay? Breed like rabbits is a saying for a reason. But even a rabbit has its limits. So there's a point at which you kind of have to just stop. Okay? You kind of have to just say, okay, this rabbit can't have any more babies for a few months. If you're breeding back to back, that is more intense for mama. She'll need a longer break. That's why I breed based on calendar year. If I back to back breed Deli over there, then she's going to need a longer break in between that 3rd litter and her 1st litter next year than Libra will need because she has longer breaks between litters. So she gets a nice big break between litters. Because she gets that nice big break, she has actually a shorter break than Deli ends up with. So Deli will end up being on break once she kindles at the end of August. She will not be bred again till May of next year. That's a long break. She doesn't get that long a break, but her litters are more spread out. So that's why I recommend doing it based on the calendar year. Figure out how many litters you want from that girl. Decide whether you're going to stack them and do what's called intense breeding. And maybe you want to spread it out and have a less intense breeding, but basically the same number of litters from that doe. So you're still getting the same number of babies. You're just stretching it out over a longer period of time. So If you need this is for the meat rabbit people. No, I don't eat my rabbits for meat, but plenty of people do. So this one is for the meat rabbit people. If you need a constant supply of meat rabbits, and you can't necessarily give your rabbits big enough breaks, you're going to just want to get more does. Get more females just to accommodate that. That rabbit is smaller than you. You don't need to back up like that. She's like, yes, I do. Anyway, yeah, you're weird. But so you do want to have more does and manage your herd that way rather than overbreed your rabbits. Overbreeding means your females will just wear out so young, and it's just not worth it. So give your rabbits the best life possible by not breeding them too many times. 2 or 3 times in a calendar year is plenty. That'll give you plenty of rabbits. Okay, especially if you double up on your females if you need more babies in a year. And remember, before you breed, make sure you have a purpose for those rabbits. Make sure you know what you're going to do with those babies, because you could get stuck with them. So don't breed more rabbits than you can afford to get stuck with, because it sucks to end up stuck with 8 boys when you only wanted 4. So just keep that in mind. It is entirely possible you will not be able to sell the babies. It's always possible. No, I've never had that problem, but it's always possible. So just in case that happens to you, have a plan for the babies and know that you might get stuck with them. And give those ladies a break. They need a rest. That's about it for us here today at Andersen Acres. We'll see you tomorrow.